This is WOMMLP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening, it's The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Patrick J Crowley. Hello.
Hello, good to be here.
Good to have you in. We'd love to start it off with a song, so what have you got for us?
This is a fairly new song called All Was Set Fair. This phrase I picked up, I believe it was uttered in Downton Abbey. Someone said, "All was set fair," and I was like, that's the song title right there. The content of this song has nothing to do with Downton Abbey, just disclaimer. Lit by fire, when all was set fair, she ran through my mind like the brush through her hair. When I held her, she smiled and spun out of time, and ever the lover that I left in the night. It went long and I can't forget her face. Don't make me beg. Made her an island in circles of stone, and I gave her a puzzle piece, and I built her boat. The sound of a rainstorm will put her to sleep, but I'll never know if she has the same dreams. The nights are long and I can't forget her face. Don't make me beg. There we are.
What was Set Fair there by Patrick J Crowley? It's a mouthful a bit, that name.
I know. I don't know why I put the J, but I'm sticking with it for some reason.
Well, I'll keep trying to say it. So, as you said, that song was inspired by a line in Downton Abbey, but didn't really have anything to do with the show. It didn't sound like it anyway. What was it to do with?
Just, it starts out being what seems like it's a love song, but it's just more about, I don't know, being on the fence with someone. I think that's what it's about. Sort of trying to write a love song, but like not getting there. You know, that's sort of what it's about. But that one is, yeah, it's been through. I have a new album coming out of this solo stuff, and this is one of the only ones that's been around for a couple of years. I think everything else that I've done on this set since I started recording is like brand new stuff. So this is one of the only older ones that's like date back years, but I did revise it a little bit to try and update it.
Why did you decide, of all the songs you had, why was this the one that kind of made it to the final cut with all these other ones being new and fresh?
The lyrics, I guess this new album, I took more care, and I really wanted to say something in the lyrics and sort of represent what I felt like the stuff I was most proud of as far as my lyrical content. And this one had always been in the back of my mind, where it was like a completely different tempo, and it was I liked the words, but the words didn't match like the character of how I was playing it. And so it was backburnered for years, and then I just kind of brought it back and like rewrote the chords and slowed it way down. And that's a common trait of this new album, is everything is like 75 BPM and lower. There's just like not a fast song on it. But
So yeah, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit, because you've made 5 other albums with various of the bands, different arrangements of people,
all sorts of names.
all sorts of names. Deep River Saints, Quasar Valley Band, and Cities on the Moon. Am I missing any there?
There's more that like never had an album under their name, but like since I've been in Vermont, it's like I tried Cities on the Moon, which was an old band I had when I was living in California, and then that became Other Cities, and yeah, all sorts. But never Patrick J Crowley or Patrick Crowley, which I'm not sure why it took me so long to feel comfortable using that. I always wanted to hide behind, like, I'm a huge fan of like Bright Eyes, for example, and it's never been, well, sometimes it's been Conor Oberst, but not at first, you know. So like I think I started out with that in mind, like I don't want to be Patrick Crowley. But yeah, Quasar Valley Band had an EP come out, and it was great. Like it's a kind of a classic country but original music. And you know, it's 6 of my songs on this EP, and I was super proud of it. But I just, as I got into playing it, I realized that I had never really taken some of the material, which is slower and folkier and more, you know, contemplative. You know, like I never used that on an album, and also for that matter, previous bands like didn't seem like they were into it. A lot of the time they'd be like more into my rockers and like the upbeat stuff, and they'd never like seem super interested in the slow stuff. So I'm gonna have to record it myself to like get all that out there. But
Is this why you decided to take on a solo project? Did you have a lot of things that you didn't feel was suitable for a band, or just kind of your own musical direction or creativity? You wanted to kind of go on your own way?
well, I sort of refreshed my recording gear when we were in lockdown in like March, and I bought a bunch of just stuff for my basement recording. And I'd only been to that date recording demos at my house, and then I would go to a studio to do stuff, which is still what I intend to do. But when COVID ramped up, I was just like, well, I just want to like actually record like a final version of something, even if it's just like vocal takes. I'm more comfortable doing vocal takes by myself in my own time. So I bought that stuff, and then that just gradually turned into recording these songs, which didn't have a drummer on it naturally, because I'm terrible at drums. So it grew into like 20, 22 songs, and then that's been pared down to like 12 now. And yeah, probably feeling like I have the album about finished. It just needs to get the final polish and mixing.
So this has all been recorded in your kind of home studio, and just no plans to take this one to the studio? Is it's just a case of mastering it?
We're probably gonna go to a studio just to replace. Might put a little bit of drums on like 2 songs and replace my placeholder software piano tracks with a real piano, stuff like that. We're just to sort of put the final polish on it. But yeah, everything's been at home.
Creatively, how has this differed to the previous work?
It's sadder. It's really depressing. But there's also love songs in it, which are kind of like put in there as palate cleansers. But it's hard not to be like, there's songs about, you know, just my feelings on on what's happening in this country, and like not, I wouldn't say they're overtly political, but reflective of it maybe. And so yeah, there's some depressing material for sure, but I felt like it was therapeutic to put it down finally, and really give it like the time and attention to make them this slower stuff kind of interesting as far as like how it's produced and how it's put together.
Is it like a true 2020 album then?
I guess so. I mean, I was reading an interview with Robin Pecknold from Fleet Foxes where he like took the opposite approach. His album was, um, it's great. It's like it's super cheerful and groovy in kind of an interesting way for them. And you could also make an argument that that was a reaction to this climate. But I would be faking it if I tried to write cheerful stuff at this time. It's just, it's all coming out kind of saddish.
Are you?
But I'm fine. I'm fine.
I mean, how does having this space with a basement recording studio and being in your own house, does that allow you to kind of get more in your feelings? I mean, especially in like lockdown, I guess, without too many friends, and it's all well and good for Fleet Foxes who can sure have 1,000,001 people around them when they record an album, but for the regular musician, I'd imagine it's a bit harder to kind of drum up those happy feelings when you're kind of in month 3 of lockdown in your basement.
For sure, yeah. It's like I said, I don't know that I'd successfully fake that, but it's easier recording at home. I mean, I feel like if I was, I'm not flush with cash. I can't have the studios that I like to go to booked for a whole day just to do like one tiny little chunk of a song and take the time to do it. I need to book studio time and be like, all right, we need to get down to business. And like that Quasar Valley Band, we went to a great studio to record that EP, and we did all 6 songs. But we were so prepared for it. I mean, we were just really rehearsed, and we just did it live in the studio. Done. I redid vocals later, but that was the only cheat. And then, but that's, yeah, I'm just, being at home, you can take time to think about, like, what is this song about, and what does it need for instruments, and that I can successfully play here in my basement with usually just guitars and my voice.
Did you surprise yourself at all with any of the stuff that you created, with that kind of room and that creativity and that space?
Yeah, mostly just I've had a lot of fun with vocal layers and slowly figuring out how to write good harmonies. I never wrote anything down. I was just trying to figure out harmonies by ear, but I could take so much time, like a whole night, and I probably sounded like a maniac. My wife is upstairs, like I'm probably singing these like really weird falsetto parts to like harmonize to something, and she's, I'm sure, wondering what it was I was doing. But it makes sense when it's all like put together. It's been a lot of fun to just tinker with layered vocals, and in some cases I think I've got like 4 or 5, usually just like 2 or 3, but that's been a lot of fun to kind of use that as filling the space rather than like a full band.
Mm. Is there anything that, if you were to record with a full band again, is there anything about this experience recording this solo album that you would take to a full band, or is this kind of yours and you want to kind of keep it as yours, and the secrets that you found out you want to keep to yourself?
Well, I'd be interested in just like, it's easy for bands, especially when they're starting out, to just rehearse a lot and then go into the studio and do exactly what you've rehearsed. Like I said, time is money with studios in a lot of cases, so you can't. I don't know that a lot of people, when they're just starting out with music and kind of a local band, I don't know that they have that true creative time in a studio, which is like what most mainstream artists are doing. They book a studio and they're just like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Let's just like tinker around on the piano and try to make some cool sounds by putting tacks in the mallets or something, like that kind of stuff. Just like off the wall creative stuff, just like tinkering. And so I'd love to take like a full band and just do more of that. Don't go in there with an agenda. Just we've booked a weekend in the studio. and we've kind of got some song ideas, but we're just going to let it breathe and let it, figure it out from there.
Well, I would love to hear another song. Is this next one going to be off the new album?
Yeah, this is probably going to be the title track. Not 100% on this, but the song is called Pyromaniacs. It was a decade of our bliss, cheap cars and fire pits. We were used to it. Filtered memory of youth. Everything holds a deeper truth. We were used to it. I feel overwhelmed by time, but I guess I'm doing fine. I'm getting used to it. There is some turbulence to ride, and it gets worse the more I fly. There's a use for it, and I try not to get attached to nostalgia and its traps. There's a use for it. It was a decade of our bliss, cheap cars and fire pits. There's a use for it. Oh my God, we were young, we were fools, we were pyromaniacs, we were pyromaniacs, we were pyromaniacs, we were pyromaniacs.
Pyromaniacs there by Patrick J Crowley. So this, as you said, this is your first kind of solo project. But it sounds like you've been the front man for the other bands that you've been part of. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fair to say. I've had bass player roles in other bands, but the most time and attention has been my songwriting. So that's what I wind up fronting. I have a hard time, with like doing a lot of covers and doing the cover band thing. I'm not trying to diss it. There's certainly a lot of fun to be had doing that, but I just have to play my songs, or I just I go nuts. Yeah, Cities on the Moon was alt rock, 2 guitars that were loud, a lot of heavy rock music, which I really like. In fact, I was remixing an album from 10 years ago by the California version of Cities on the Moon, and I was just blown away by that material. Just it never got released really. It never really saw the light of day. This particular set I was remixing, so it was a lot of fun. But it couldn't be any more different than what I've been recording. Just like the drums are, it was this drummer from California was just nuts. He was so good, and I forgot how good he was, you know. But these new recordings obviously are this like not a drum to be found so far. There might be a couple, like Pyromaniacs, the song you just played. We're probably gonna. I want to put some drums on that.
And in terms of as a songwriter, has your process differed over the years, and has it specifically differed for this recent album?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed over the years. It's probably I like the workflow now because of because of iPhones. The voice memo thing on phones has completely changed my songwriting. So there, if I'm just playing my acoustic, practicing, and I come up with some little set of chords or a little riff, you know, 10 years ago, I would have tried to remember it and then like come back 2-3 days later and be like, what was that? And just like struggled. But now, if I like something, the phone's out, I record it, and then a few days go by, I listen to it, and I start to kind of maybe hear words over it, and then it just develops from there. And then now I'm literally writing the lyrics of songs in the notes of my phone. So it's just like this mobile routine I have now where I voice memos and notes. It's all the songs are in there.
How many of you do you reckon you've got in there at the moment? If you
In my notes app, I mean it goes back probably like 5 years at this point of lyrics, and just like there'll be like sets of lyrics. There's dozens and dozens, but a lot of them maybe I wrote it with like a melody in mind, and I've since forgotten what that melody was supposed to be. So it's tough to make them work again, because I'm usually writing music before I write lyrics. It's sometimes it's the other way around, but that's for me. That's super rare.
Do you ever go back through to the earlier ones and see if there's still kind of some good hooks? You're like, oh, I really wanted to make something with that, and then coming back around to it a few years later, you're like, oh, I've actually got an idea for this now, or is it?
Yeah, for sure, especially on the instrumental side, like with voice memos. It's almost like a cure for writer's block for me now too, because there's so many little snippets of riffs and chords in there that if I'm just really frustrated, a song I was working on didn't work out, I'll be like, all right, well maybe I can just like reset. I'll find one of these that I liked and I'll listen to it, and it's like, no, I don't hear anything there. And so that's I guess that's what I mean by why I like it more recently, is because it's sort of that automatic route around the writer's block now for me. And I don't know what I was doing before, but thanks to the iPhone. I hate the iPhone a lot of the time when I'm looking at Instagram and I don't know why, but the rest of it's pretty good.
Yeah. And in terms of the content of your lyrics, has that changed over the years? Has it become? I mean, as we all get older, I think we'll kind of change the way that we look through the world or look at the world. Has that been reflected in your songwriting?
When I go back to stuff I was writing when I was like 21, 22, it was all purposely obtuse, and I was trying to hide meaning by all means necessary. And there's lines maybe that are kind of clever that I like, but for the most part, I really struggle with that stuff, because it's just like, you'll go through a whole song and I'm just like, I don't even know what this means anymore. I've forgotten. I don't know what I was trying to get at with this. And all this stuff. And the country band really changed this, because the lyrics I was writing for that country band are so direct. It's a story about a guy on the road with his old band. Like that, like stuff like that. It's like, it couldn't be more direct. There might be a clever metaphor or two, but it's not all metaphor. And so that's kind of what's changed. It's like, even in this stuff that's, that I'm not bringing to the country band, because it's just not country music, it's still like you could read some of the lines in the lyrics and think like, oh, that would fit in like an old country tune. And so that's kind of it's probably more direct.
And how about this album? Is there like a general theme, or are you drawing from any specific time in your life, or any stories that you've kind of reading about, or is it kind of just a mishmash of all of it?
Yeah, I try not to get too literary with stuff I'm writing, but because I just want it to be more grounded in my experiences. And this latest set is probably like I had the last Deep River Saints album was called For Posterity, and that was like 60 minutes of nostalgia about like being a teenager and young adult and the confusion of that period. And I guess this latest solo album, you could say, is my 30s album about the 30s, which sounds thrilling, but it reflects more. I'm being more honest about the anxiety stuff, especially in like this climate, like, especially since COVID started and like everything in our political climate. Like I'm being way more, just willing to put my anxieties in these songs, which I find pretty therapeutic actually, which is why I feel like whenever this gets released, I need to put a note to people that know me that I'm fine. Like, cause there's some dark stuff. Like it's just, I don't know. It's stuff that, like I said, that my old bands probably wouldn't have been super thrilled to play cause it's just slow and sad, but got to put it somewhere.
Hey, got to get it out. Well, we've got time for about one more song, but before I let you go, tell us a little bit more about when to expect the album, and if people want to like find you and listen to some of your music, where would they do that?
Patrick J Crowley.bandcamp.com is the single best place. I love Bandcamp. I have finally managed to figure out how to put like Deep River Saints stuff. I don't think they let you do this before. Like you couldn't have a different artist. But now you can. So I've been able to move Deep River Saints and Old Cities on the Moon stuff to the patrickjcrowley.bandcamp, and that's where the new album will be. In addition, I'm sure, to the Spotify's of the world. But I'm thinking early 2021. I just need time to do the finishing touches, I'm super thrilled to get it out there and maybe play live next year. We'll see.
I was going to say this is a question that's usually asked with a deep breath before it. But have you got any gigs coming up, or is
I've been avoiding gigs. Other than this is awesome to be here, but I have not booked any gigs. I saw some friends of mine are playing out here and there, like outside. I know it's going to get tougher now that it's getting cold, but I appreciate any venue trying to make it work, but I'm waiting. I just can't. It's too weird for me to not promote maybe a little bit, but not like really go out and bring as many people as you can to a show, which is the whole goal before. But now it's kind of, I don't know what to do. Am I allowed to promote this show? I don't know. So that's why I'm kind of just waiting and working on music.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, best of luck to you. I'm really excited about this new album. And please come back in again once it's released. We'd love to have you in again.
Absolutely. I'm going to do one of the palate cleanser love songs.
Nice.
This one is called Love Spoken Plainly. And you'll tell by the lyrics that it's very direct. I think I'm going to put it on the album with just an acoustic guitar and a couple harmonized voices and let it speak for itself. Love spoken plainly, voices from memory, patterns we danced on the floor. Used words like sweetheart, dreamed of a new start, felt better and best every day. Love spoken plainly, a folk song with 2 or 3 chords. Sung without microphones, humming of amplifiers, sung at the tops of our lungs. Limitlessness was nothing like this, fortune of fullness for all. We came with favors, Saturday flavors, schemes that would always pay off. Love spoken plainly, a folk song with 2 or 3 chords. Sung without microphones, humming of amplifiers, sung at the tops of our lungs. Love spoken plainly, voices from memory and patterns we danced on the floor.
Patrick J Crowley finishing it off with Love Spoken Plainly. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
Really appreciate it. So tune in next week, which I think will be my last Rocket Shop of the year. We'll be having other people coming in from then on. We've got Hetty Betty in the studio. That'll be at the same time, 8 o'clock. This has been the Rocket Shop. I have been your host, Tom Proctor, and good night.